Hey guys. Okay, so this is Jessie Blackburn, and I'm just going to reply to a couple of email questions I've received. And I also just want to remind you all that we are officially, now that we're in week 2, we are on our regular rhythm. So you have drafts that are due in the middle of the week and feedback given in response to those drafts. And every Friday, your reading responses are due. Now, last week's reading responses were not due until Monday of this week because I realized that several of you were still waiting on textbooks at the end of last week, and so I just pushed that deadline back slightly just to give you a chance to get those textbooks in. But here we are in week 2, and we should be following the regular rhythm of the semester as outlined on our As You Learn site and our course syllabus. So that means that you have a literacy narrative due this week. Your response to each other's literacy narratives will be due as well. Friday, your reading responses or your reading forum posts are due. So a couple of questions that have come in. What does it mean for something to be due by say Friday at midnight? Does that mean Thursday night at 12:01 a.m. or does it mean Friday night at midnight? And to clarify that, when I say something is due by midnight on Friday, what I mean is literally 12 o'clock p.m., right? It's due, so really 11:59 p.m. is when it's due because it would be 12 a.m., right, is midnight. So on Friday, this coming Friday, you have until 11:59 p.m. that night to post those reading responses, okay? Otherwise, it's considered Saturday and it's considered late. Okay, so that's the first response. The second question that I want to answer is how do you give peer feedback on each other's drafts? So first of all, you will see the prompts that I have provided. So the list of questions that I ask you all to respond to. I've already composed those questions and I've posted those on our As You Learn site. So please go there, go to our As You Learn site. You'll find the peer review worksheet, right, those guidelines, and you're going to want to use that to help you create feedback for your peer. And as I have said, what I don't want is for the entire class to give peer review to the same person. So when you go to give peer review, if you see that someone has already received feedback, go to another person, just sort of scroll down in their posts and look for their draft and look for one that has not received any feedback. And you'll know because where you post feedback is on the forum in response to that person's draft. So find a draft that has not received anyone else's feedback yet, and then that's what you use to post yours. And you literally use that worksheet, fill in your answers to those prompted or scripted questions, and then upload that or copy and paste that into your reply to your peer's draft. Okay? And of course, this is not meant to generate some kind of wicked debate between you and the author and what you interpreted versus what they meant. This is a chance for you to give honest, qualitative feedback to a peer and to also internalize the moves that they're making in their essay that you admire, the work that you see them doing that you think might work in your case as well, different moves that they're making, rhetorical strategies they're employing, structural, stylistic nuances that you think would be especially effective for you as well that you could sort of consider trying out when you revise your draft. So that's the point of the peer review. It's so that you can give feedback and receive feedback, but also so that you can maybe learn from a peer by being exposed to their work. All right, so I'm just looking over the list of questions. So how you do the peer review for the literacy narrative and all of the drafts from here forward is you just go to the list of the prompts, the peer feedback prompt that I've given you on our As You Learn site, complete that, and then you paste your response into or behind that person's draft. Okay. So the narrative draft is due by midnight on Wednesday. Okay, so that would be 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday, not 12 a.m., right? So you have, when I say it's due by midnight, then it's due before the end of Wednesday night, right? Wednesday night at midnight. So if something is due on a Monday at midnight, it would be Monday night by, basically you need to be hitting submit at 11 by 11:59. Okay. all of that, that's the same thing is the case for peer review, right? So if you're doing peer review and it's due by midnight at a certain time, then it's the midnight the night it's due. Hopefully that's helping you all. Okay, lastly, how do you prepare for your telephone conferences with me? Well, it all depends on when you have scheduled your conference. So if you signed up to have your paper, and also just to remind you guys, you're welcome to conference with me weekly if you feel that you need it. But I require one conference of every student all term. So make sure you go and you use that link, find some time that works with your summer schedule, and sign up to chat with me. And these are, very informal conversations, though, and I really do like for students to take the lead in those conversations. I like for you to come to me with questions about a draft you're working on, or questions you might have about something that's coming up in the semester. But I generally will go over whatever the student needs to go over. If you don't have any questions, I'll have some questions for you just to kind of make sure that we're in communication with each other and you've got a good groove going in the course. But yes, as far as when or how to prepare for each conference, if you signed up for this week to be the one conference that is required of the semester, then we don't have a whole lot of work under our belt yet to go over, but we certainly can address the literacy narrative, and we can familiarize ourselves with, say, where we're going next, what assignment we'll be working on next, or the final portfolio as you prepare for that at the end of the semester. So, but then as we get later on in the semester, for those of you who signed up for your paper conference to say be the last week of the term, you're going to have a lot under your belt at that point. So we could talk about any number of drafts that you will have composed. We certainly could be talking about the final portfolio at that point. It's really just where you are in the semester at that time. Excuse me. Pollen? So it really does just depend on where you are at that point in the semester when you signed up for your conference with me. So I would just say, take a few minutes before we chat to sketch out a couple of questions that you have for me, or maybe you get peer feedback on a draft and you're not really sure how you feel about the feedback. In other words, do you want to make these changes or not? And you maybe want my opinion. That conference is a great opportunity to run through that stuff together. And then lastly, I did want to mention that the University Writing Center has a wonderful online presence. So for those of you who would like to workshop your essays with the Writing Center, and maybe you're not on campus this summer or in Boone, as this is an online course, you might have gone home for the summer, or you might even be on a cruise somewhere taking this class, but you still have access to the Writing Center. So what you would do is just go to the University Writing Center's website, and there is a little tab there that you can click on to set up your appointment, and it will ask you whether or not you want it to be an online appointment or face-to-face, and you can set up for your appointment to be online. So it's wonderful. It's a terrific resource that we have here, and I really recommend it for students. And online courses are really tough, and the sense of isolation and sort of uncertainty can be really overwhelming. So the Online Writing Center is just an additional resource to help keep you grounded in the course and in a sense of community here at ASU, and to just maybe give you some extra feedback on any of your drafts that you might be anxious about. Okay, so that's it. I hope that all of this feedback has been helpful, and like I said, just look for holistic feedback from me on last week's reading response forums that posts that you all posted on Monday this week, because we were waiting on textbooks. Starting this week, though, those reading responses will be due this Friday and every Friday thereafter. Okay, I'll be back in touch soon, I'm sure.